Many are the times that we make decisions that we regret after. Some of us, our Heavenly Father, and our lives are the way they are because of a decision we made one day and one time. You always desire us to seek after your will, even as we make every decision. Speak to us this morning through Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. You can appreciate the Lord for what He has done in your life. Thank you. Happy customers. Unajua, this week was customers week. So happy, my dear esteemed customers. Thank you. You know, you are the customers because a customer is that person who goes to seek after a service or a good or a product. So whenever you come every Sunday, you know, you are coming to your CEO and your God. And I pray that your week has been well. In the year 2007, I had just a few years because I bought my vehicle, my first vehicle. That was in the year 2006, towards the end of it. And in the year 2007, I think by then I was coordinating children, youth, and brigade in the diocese. I had come from Isri to buy some materials for making the brigade uniform. And I had a very hectic week. And by then, those of you who can remember, there was no superhighway. It was a dual lane, and it was very narrow. At Allsops, I think it was around 5 in the evening, and pale kwa GSU kuna kamtelemko hapo. I think I was tired. And all through I had disobeyed my body. So wakati nilifika hapo kwa GSU kulikuwa na traffic. And so when there is traffic, then you slow down. I slowed down completely. And I think I went blackout. So I would hear people hooting, but I didn't think it is me they are hooting to. Only for one makanga to come to near my door and to knock very hard. And he shouted, "Where are you taking the vehicle?" By then, it had started getting off the road. Na ilikuwa inaenda kwa hapo si kuna mto pale chini. So that is where it was heading to. I shook when I woke up, and I think they saw what I was doing, and then they told me just weka gari kando, lala, ukimaliza, endelea na nini. It's a day I will never forget because I made a decision not to listen to my body. Allow me to share on the power in decision making. As I was preparing, a story popped up in my mind of a young man who had just gotten a job in a paint factory. And this young man, one weekend, he was very broke. He was broke, but there were doors, there were buckets of paint. So he thought, I'm the one who closes the store. Why should I continue suffering and there is paint here? So one day, one Friday, he thought, after everyone has left, I'll pick 2 buckets of paint, go and sell them, and then I will have money by myself. So he did that. Unfortunately, he never thought nobody saw him. But the supervisor saw him. So when he came on Monday, he was called and told, yes, on Friday, you picked 2 buckets of paint and you went with them. Where were you taking them? Then he said, he was told, you stole. Then he said, I was only looking for money to support myself. So the supervisor told him, if you don't want me to report you to the boss, this is what will happen. I will put you on overtime, and every time you are on overtime, the money will not go to your salary, but I will be getting the money on your behalf. And the young man thought, okay, if I will not be reported and I lose my job, and it is okay. And so he continued to work overtime, and the salary would get to the supervisor. Then one day, this young man thought, what is this that I have been going through? Then he thought, how long shall I remain a slave of the supervisor? So one day he gained courage and went to the boss and told the boss, I've come to report myself that 3 years ago, I stole 2 buckets of paint and I sold them. The supervisor, the CEO told him, oh, okay, I remember. But because we had insured the paint, the insurance company paid us the 2 buckets and just continue but never repeat it once again. So the young man, very happy, went to the supervisor. He continued to work, and the supervisor was waiting for the salary that weekend, and he told him, no, today I'm not giving you. Then the supervisor told him, I'll go and report you to the boss. Then he told the supervisor, I reported myself to the boss, and the boss pardoned me long time ago. Brothers and sisters, a decision to want to get rich made the young man a slave for over 3 years. Allow me to say, brethren, that our decisions are powerful forces that determines the quality of life and the destiny that we will go to. And allow me to remind you that every decision you make makes you or breaks you. However retro it is, this morning you made a decision to come to church. This morning you made a decision to wear the clothes that you have worn. This morning you made a decision. Who you are today and who I am today is as a result, and I am a product of decisions that I made yesterday. And who I will be tomorrow and you will be tomorrow will be as a result of the decisions that you make today. From the text that we have read in Daniel chapter 1, it gives us a story of the power in decision making. Daniel and 4 young men had been taken into captivity in Babylon in the year 600 BC. They had been deported and they were under the captivity of King of Judah, and Nebuchadnezzar was one of the kings who ruled in that time. And what would happen by then is that the king would take the leading families, so that when they have taken the leading families into the battle, the rest of the families would follow, because the families in leadership are the ones leading the battle. And as this happened, Nebuchadnezzar chose young men, as it is recorded in Daniel chapter 1 and verses 4. They were not only young men, but they are young men with the following characteristics. Number one is that they didn't have any defect. Number two is that they were handsome. They were not just only a young man, but they are the handsome ones that had been chosen. Number three, in terms of knowledge, they had the aptitude. They would grasp that which they are being taught. And they had the knowledge, and they were quick to understand what they were taught. And these young men would qualify to serve in the king's palace. A young man like you and me were chosen. And this is very key as you read the book of Daniel, because the foundation of the book of Daniel is founded on verse 4 and verse 8. The rest of the chapters, the foundation are verse 4 of Daniel chapter 1 and verse 8 of Daniel chapter 1. So this is what would happen. They were chosen and picked from among many, and they were taken to the king. And when they were taken to the king, three things they would have happened, would be done to them. Number one is that would be taught a new language. Then number two is that they would be taught the literature of the Babylonians. And number three, they would be given new names, so that nobody would remember them as young men that they knew. That if I knew Daniel, who was as a young man, then when he has a new name, then nobody would recognize them as the same young men who were before they were picked to serve in the king's parish. They were taught a new language. They were taught the literature of the Babylonians. And number three, they would be given the new names. And the names that they were given were not just only name, they are the names of the Babylonian gods. So the names that the four were given, they signified the honor of the Babylonian god. So when Daniel is called Belteshazzar, meaning a servant of Baal, that is what it meant. So when we would see Daniel, he could be translated to be a servant of Baal, a god in the Babylonians' life. When Shadrach would be called Hananiah, then this means that Lord is gracious, and he would be inspired by the sun god, because it was Hananiah was one of the gods of the sun that the Babylonians would worship. And Meshach, it is the one who is the moon god, and Abednego was a servant of Nebo. All these are names that were given to the gods of the Babylonians. Part of the training also, it included eating special diet. And this special diet was in terms of food and drink. So when you see Daniel refusing to drink and to eat the food, this was part of the training. It is like the military training. I hear there are certain food that you have to eat and you have not to eat when you are at that training. Those of who are athletics, who learn the athletics, there is a certain kind of food they are supposed to eat and a food they are not supposed to eat. And so Daniel and his friends, they were faced with a life-changing, a do or die decision. On one hand, would they go against the king? On the other hand, would they go against their God? It was a do or die. What do I do? Do I follow what the king is saying? Do I follow what my God is telling me? Many are the times that we find ourselves in the middle of a decision making. From Daniel's life, we can learn a few lessons. But allow me to remind you, brethren, that majority of us, before we are 20, statistics says, before you are 20 years, this is the time that you make majority of your decisions. After that, then you leave the decisions that you have made. And this reminded me that I made a decision to accept Christ when I was 17 years old. That was in the year 1993 when I was in Form 2. I made a decision to accept Christ in my life. And that decision I made on the 15th of May, 1993, became a turnaround in my life. I've always lived under that decision that I made. So what can we learn from Daniel as the power in decision making? Number one, when we make God-honoring decisions, God blesses our lives. When you make a decision that God is honored in it, He will always bless you. This is what we read in Daniel chapter 1 and verses 17. And so it is important for you to ask yourself, is this decision I'm making, how is God honored in this decision that I am about to make? Number two, whenever we make God-honoring decisions, God ensures that we succeed in our lives. He grants us a favor and He makes a way for us. He made a way for Daniel, that even when the king was against him and the four young men, when they made God-honoring decision, God ensured that they have become successful. Whenever you make a decision and God is honored by it, He ensures that you are always successful in it. The number 3 is that whenever you make a decision, think of the long-term consequences. What are the long-term consequences of every decision? Daniel was confronted by 2 long-term consequences. Number 1 is, do I please the king and I offend my God? Or do I offend the king and I please my God? What are the consequences of the decisions that we make? Some of the decisions that we make are short-term. They are short-lived. Yet, you have always cried. You've always lost opportunity because of a short-term decision that you made. Majority of us, we live a life of cry and a life of regret because of a decision that we made. We never thought of the long-term consequences that we make. And before you make a decision, it is always good to ask yourself, what does God require of me? Joshua chapter 9 and verses 14. What does the Lord require of me? What should I do? What should I say? What should I act? You should always listen to that small, still voice that tells you. You know, God will always speak to you before you make any decision. And He tells you, please, don't join that company. Don't do that course. Don't hang out with so-and-so. Don't open this and that site. But what we normally do, we brush it off. As I was listening to the story of the family that lost more than 14 people around Naivasha, it was a decision of a driver to overtake that costed the lives of 14 people. He made a decision. He moved on. 14 people lost their lives. How often do we cause? It may not be a physical accident as it did, but how many times do we cause what I may call accidents in our lives because of a decision that you made? Just tasting a little wine messes your life. Just being in that room, both of you, na mnaweka Biblia katikati, has costed your life. Just hanging out, just Psalms 119 and verse 5, the Bible tells us, David said, I have hidden your word in my heart that I will not sin against you. Brothers and sisters, allow me to conclude by saying, every decision you make there will be consequences over it. It's Michael Ranberger who told us as Kenyans once, choices have consequences. Whatever decision you make, there will always be consequences. Despite your situation, the challenges that you could be going through, make a decision that you will never regret. I made a decision when I was 17 years. I've lived to enjoy that decision I made. And I always tell people who I am, what I have, the places I have traveled both in this country and outside this country. I owe it to that decision I made when I was in Form 2, and it became a turnaround in my life. Daniel made a decision. Brethren, make a decision, but ensure that decision you make today, you will not cry tomorrow.